I really thought that my life was going to be so much better dating wise, and it's actually kind of harder than pre-pandemic. When I was dating, when I was dating with intentions of just hooking up, it was very easy to weed people out because all you had to do was decide whether or not you would screw them. Basically, that's it. Are they screwable, and are they likely to kill you? And so if you could assess that and you could say no to the killing and yes to the screwing, then you could proceed forward, and with confidence or not. And you would be matched up with people who were sometimes out of your league because they just wanted to screw, and it's hard to find people who just want to screw who are relatively normal as well. And so you could be matched up with people way out of your league, and so it could be really exciting because you wouldn't be able to date that type of person because they don't want to date you, but they'll screw you. So it's different, and so you learn the skills of being casual versus what you would do if you were trying to be in a relationship. And this is the first time, I think I've mentioned in other videos, this is the first time that I've been wanting to date other healthy people in a healthy way where your intentions is not to just screw them, like at all. Like screw with their minds, like just play games. Like I don't feel like wanting to be casual is playing games, but it's very on the line of how do you get rid of this relationship that you're in as it's temporary without it becoming too messy because you're doing something in a temporary context, but you're letting it last too long and it's turning into more of a relationship type thing, which you don't want because that's not what you wanted to begin with. And so now the whole like premises, like even the sorting out of the people is a little bit different of a process, and I'm learning that. So okay, so the first thing that I had was a problem was that there's several problems, but the first major problem that I was having was just finding the people, finding the available people. The problem with going around and trying to find people in person is that in person, it's easier to see if they're into you, but it's also harder to figure out if they're like actually good for you because they don't have signs that say like, I'm into going to museums and like that we're totally compatible with this other thing. They don't have that. You have to ask them that. And the probability of somebody sitting next to you or in the vicinity of you to be able to talk to you, just randomly finding somebody spontaneously in the world that is also single, that is also kind of your type or somebody that you could get to know, it's kind of low chance. And if they're that great, they're probably taken. And so it's kind of weird to be like, almost kind of flirting with somebody you don't know is single or not, or who like their level of straightness or whatever matches you, right? Like it's all complex and it's like not very obvious, but clearly like it can be done because people dated without the internet. They dated a lot and they were successful and had, you know, probably lots of failed marriages, but probably lots of like really happy unions that lasted a long time. So anyways, I know it can be done. It's just complicated and I don't have any of those skills to make that easier. And I know I need to develop them, but I just haven't because I underestimated how hard it would be in the economy to make money, and I underestimated how hard it would be in order to make money with my business by moving. So I have to spend more time on my basic needs and less time acquiring these skills and going out into the world because I have guilt that I'm taking away from something that I actually need to do in order to do something that I want to do. And I know it's like a shift in my mind to make them both a priority, but it's very hard to want to go date people when you can't afford like toilet paper, right? So you have to take care of your money thing. And so I underestimated that whole thing. And I've talked about that a lot, and so we're not going to talk about that, but just know that that's kind of like a hindrance. I haven't actually gained much skill since I last talked to you, because like with like talking with people out at bars, and because if you want to like sit there, if you want to like go anywhere where you actually have the chance of talking with someone for a while, you have to sit there. You can't just like sit and like not order something. That's freaking weird. Borderline psychotic. I haven't gained the skills because it's just hard, because you have to sit there for a long period of time in order for like your neighbors to change out. Like, what if this person sits down and it's like an old couple, like clearly married, and they're not like your demographic of who you would want to flirt with, and then these other people are just there to watch sports, and it's like all complicated. I'm not saying it's complicated beyond like figuring out, but it's a little bit complicated. So I see that you have to have some skills in order to pick the right place. You have to sit at the right place. You have to be able to have a strategy. Maybe you drink iced tea for a while, and then as it gets later on in the night when other people are drunk, then you start to like drink a couple of beers, but you can't drink too much because you need to drive home if nothing really works out. Plus you still need to drive home anyways, so you're gonna be prepared to like sit there for long periods of time with like just awkwardly staring at a TV, waiting for the other people at the sides of you to like trickle in. And I don't know, that just seems like a very bad, low, statistically possible way of meeting somebody. But that's kind of sort of all I know right now for meeting someone spontaneously who you could possibly like want to flirt with, that could possibly turn into a date, and you still don't even know if they're single, and you still don't even know if they're like compatible. So where does that leave you to like sort this out if you're a busy like person like me, and you don't really have a lot of money to just throw around $200 to $300 on like the possibility of 0 people being interested in you and or talking with you? So trying to conserve funds. And so where do you go? You go on the apps. And so they're a can of worms. I don't know if you've been on the apps right now, but it's kind of like, ugh. And there's paywalls because, like, of course there is. Like, there are different platforms that you can try, and there are different sorts of people that sign up for the different types of platforms. I'm not going to sign up for Christian Mingle, but maybe all the people here are in Christian Mingle, and the ones that are left to go on Hinge or Tinder or Bumble or whatever the hell are like way more weird, because the majority of the people that are kind of normal and do like normal people things are Christian, and they're on Christian Mingle. I would never see those people. So what I'm left with is like kind of strange, more strange people in the community. That might not be the case if I just was not living in this particular spot. So I have to think like my environment. So I finally figured out a hack for my particular environment. So I have been on Hinge for I think 2 or 3 months, and I have very, very, very low match rate. Like, I think I get somebody to prompt me that they like me maybe once a day, maybe even less, maybe once every 2 or 3 days. And their compatibility is like kind of hilarious. It's like that they breathe air. Like, it's actually sorted by compatibility in Hinge, and it's like, this person's fully compatible with you, and they like, there's nothing in there that indicates that they're compatible with me, because I know myself. I look at their profile and I'm like, I would never. And that includes like physically what they look like and then what they're into. And I'm just like, how am I compatible with this? Like, the algorithm really sucks here, and because I'm not paying for it, right? So what was happening was, when I did get somebody on Hinge, on this particular platform, when I did get somebody on Hinge who was like the slightest possible chance that I might be able to have a conversation with, I was like, okay, because they came around every once and never. And the ones that I had prompted that I liked them, I never matched with them. I still to this day do not have one match on Hinge that I have liked them and they've liked me back. So I have very bad, I feel like a full profile that is variable, that like shows like, you know, me without makeup, me like full body, me with makeup, me doing things that are kind of activity wise. Like it's a full-on profile that I like put like thought into. It's not like I just did a crappy job. So I mean, I'm sure that some people think that, but I did put effort into it is what I'm saying. And so these are the results on that platform. And I'm like, okay. So I did a little experiment, and because I was like really feeling bad about it. I was like, am I just really ugly? I know that my teeth are screwed up. I know that I'm a nice person. I know I have nice hair. I know that I'm an interesting person. So I know all these things of pros and cons, but I'm like, I shouldn't just, you know, get nowhere. Like this seems real like really bad for like my goal of moving here. And I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? So I was like, okay, let's see if it's me or if it's the platform. So at least on Hinge, this is what I did. I learned somewhere that if you start getting better looking matches if you change the mile radius. So I had it at like 100 miles and I changed it. I kept my deal breakers because I do get more matches if I allow like 23-year-olds to like me for some reason. I'm like really in their like scope, and like 56-year-olds, like on both spectrums. But somewhere along the way I actually read that this could be a load of crap, but I always think of this, that your soulmate is like within 1 to 2 years like difference from you. And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna date a 23-year-old if my soulmate's supposed to be like 38. Right? So I want to hone in on what's more likely that I'm going to be compatible with. And I feel like I just have less compatibility on the ends of those. So the age range. So I made it a deal breaker, and I know that if you open up your deal breakerness, then you get more people. But I was like, let's just see like the amount of people that I'm working with. Like, is it a me problem? Is it a them problem? Or is it like a platform problem? So I did an experiment where I took it down to like 1 mile. And I kept my deal breakers, and it sorted it out for me. And I had like a few people in my, they call it a card deck, like the people that you can tap yes or no on. And I feel real bad about like treating people like yes, no, but that's just how it is. So I'm just doing what's normal, I guess. It doesn't feel normal. This feels completely stupid and weird, but the alternative was the, you know, the wasting of the money that I don't have yet. And yeah, and I don't have skills in order to sort the in-person thing out yet, so we're going to resort back to trying to get some results here. So this is what we're doing. I'm trying not to judge myself, but this is what we're doing. So I go on Hinge and I see that I have like maybe 5 or 6 people to like look at within the 1 mile radius. And I'm like, oh, okay, but they're like, none of them are like compatible with me, and none of them are good looking. And I'm not so picky that I just need somebody completely handsome, because I kind of feel like they need to be approachable, and they need to be like, I don't know, not robots. Because the super hot ones that are not verified are like most of the time robots, and I'll get to that when I talk about Match. But so I try to go after the people who are verified, like profile verified. They have like a little blue check or whatever next to them, or some sort of check, I forget. And so that's like one way to like help weed out the fake profiles, because there's fake profiles on like every single dating app, and that's just normal. So you have to gain skills on how to not fall prey to those various forms of fake profiles, because some are scammy, some are just fillers to like look like there's more people on the app than actually is. Some people are in like different countries trying to get your money, and some people are like catfishes. So you don't know what the fake profile is going to do, but you want to avoid them at all costs, because it's literally like a time suck. Like you're not going to date them. So it doesn't matter how hot they are. So I'm trying to pick someone who's like not super, super hot, because that's, I don't know if I'm really into that anyways, like just in general, even if they aren't fake. But I'm trying to pick somebody that I would want to kiss and that I could see myself with, and who's not super stupid in their profile. And some of them don't put any effort into their profiles, and you know, I can't really work with that, so I just click no. So I ran out of people very, very quickly with the 1 mile thing, and so I was like, okay, let's open it up to 5 miles. And so I did that, and I ran out very quickly as well. And I'm seeing that, I think I've talked about this in other videos, but I never explained it to this level, that in like where I was, if I had done that in like the bigger city that I lived, even with my deal breakers, like kind of making people fall out of my filter, I would be clicking forever. It's like if you go to New York City and Times Square, you're going to be clicking forever. There's so many people. So what I was seeing was either they just were not on a Hinge, or they just didn't like exist to be matched with. And so I did this from 5 miles out, weeded out people, didn't say any yeses to them. The attractiveness did not change for the better, and it just didn't, like, overall didn't go well. So I eventually pushed it out to 50 miles, and that's when I got like a lot of people in my card deck, and that's when I got a lot of people that were kind of okay, and so I would say yes to them, but they still wouldn't match with me. I was like, damn it, what the hell? So the connotation on Hinge is different than on another app, say Tinder. Tinder is way more like, you just like use the app to have casual hookups. It's not, Hinge is more like, it can be used for that too. Can be used for like all different kinds of relationships that you could have, but it's like, it's mostly used for people who are trying to find a long-term kind of committed relationship, and maybe the people here just don't want that. And I'm trying to think about all the things that are connecting the pieces. When I lived in a small state, a lot of the people from my rural area could not afford to maintain a longer term relationship. They wanted intimacy, and so they sought other people who were looking for short-term things, which is like, i.e. not a money suck, because if you can't really afford to like live by yourself in a rural place where the job economy is not that good, you're not gonna, you don't have money to even support yourself, never mind a full-blown relationship, which is kind of expensive. If you want to like date in a fun way, go places with people, but you can still have fun, like wink wink fun, for relatively low amounts of money. And so a lot of the people in my area where I used to live that I dated like 2 or 3 years ago, they were not on Hinge. They were not looking for long-term relationships. They were looking for the cheaper, easier, quicker turnaround, but still equaled, you know, getting some sort of idea that they were working on their love life, but they weren't, on Tinder, which is for hookups. And so a lot of people were on Tinder and almost nobody was on Hinge there. But I was from a bigger place in the desert where a lot of people were on Hinge. And so when I came here, it's also a bigger city. It's way bigger than where I grew up. And so I just thought, okay, there are probably going to be an equal amount of people looking for long-term relationships, and then people looking for casual hookups. Like, I feel like that happens, you know, that range would happen. But what I'm finding is there was not a lot of people who are on Hinge looking for what I was looking for in my compatibility, in my age range. There was a ton of people that were highly good looking that wanted to match with me and who were looking for long-term open to short relationships on Tinder. And I would never have thought that that was the case, because previously when I'd used Tinder, it just meant that you just wanted to like hook up. But Tinder has evolved since I last used it. So I kept Hinge as like a little baseline of what's going on. And the season is changing. This is cuffing season, or it's going to be coming into cuffing season. And I first started Hinge during summer, where everybody else is like probably not trying to be locked down, right? So I was on a love platform trying to look for long-term love, and it was the middle of the summer, and it's in a place that maybe not everybody is using that particular platform, and I'm feeling bad about myself. But what I'm learning is, if I put the pieces of the puzzle together about where I actually live, you are hidden behind a paywall with algorithms and everything, and with expectations of just finding love on Hinge. But if you go to Tinder, where you can see who likes you for free, and you can talk to who likes you for free if you match, then that's where people usually go. It's like the path of least resistance. People are not like well off here. And so I'm starting to realize that they're probably not paying for Hinge in order to be able to like sort, to be able to find me. Or I'm not, you know, I didn't pay for Hinge either to sort, to be able to find them. And so I'm just left with like the stupid algorithm of compatibility, and Hinge gets it super wrong. So I was just getting like I was getting no matches there, and I was trying all the different ways. And then I just learned that there was just literally no people to match with, compatibility or not. I would sort through all the people that were within the mile radius of me, and I didn't get a lot of people in my card deck until I put out 50 miles. And that includes other bigger cities near me. And of course there's gonna be more people there to pick from. So if I want a relationship that's less than 100 miles, there's not a lot to choose from. So I was learning that, and I was like, okay. So we added Tinder back, but we put in our profiles, I'm including you in the we thing, I put in my profile that I wanted long-term, open to short. And so you can put, you know, whatever you want there. You can put only for fun and blah blah blah. And so I started getting a whole bunch of matches, and I started getting a whole bunch of people to like my stuff. And it was basically a copy and paste of my profile from Hinge. So it's not like I did a better job. I used different prompts because there were different prompts available, but it's like the same, relatively the same types of pictures that I put, and the same types of like things that I would write down as far as the about me sections and blah blah blah. So it made me feel better about my abilities to just match with people, because I was like, that was a real barrier. It's like, how can I even go on dates and get better at this if I can't even get people to talk with me? And I'm like, ugh. So I'm skipping Match.com. So before I tried Tinder, because I didn't know that Tinder had like upgraded its abilities and like is kind of like a fun app now. I thought it was just for hookups, and I didn't want to use that. I wanted to use that only as a last resort. I was freaking getting desperate, and I just needed to like go on some dates to get back in the swing of things. So I got Match.com, and I was like, okay, maybe more people are over there. But I would get people to like me, but I didn't pay for any of it. And all of a sudden I'd have like 100 people like liking me and like sending me like little intros, but I couldn't even see what they said because that is hidden behind a paywall there. They have paywalls for everything. So basically you can just see people, and every now and then they get you to, they tie you in when you have somebody like you. They're like, pay if you want to, or like upgrade if you want to talk back with this person, but you have no idea what they said and you have no idea what they look like. So it's like this mystery. It could be the one, but I'm just not paying, and so I don't see it. And so before I tried Tinder and like got all my matches for free, because that's where the poor people are. they're like not paying for apps. If they're having a hard time paying for like, you know, necessities, they still want love, but they're just gonna go to a platform that allows that to happen without a paywall. And I didn't know that at the time. So I'm trying this on Match.com. I'm just thinking, okay, Match.com is known for some love, so let's go there. And I was getting all these messages, and every now and then I would get like emails that would like preview show me a picture of them, and I'm like, no. And so I felt better about not giving them the upgraded money. But it would go on and on and on for like maybe a month or so, and I'd stored up like 100 people that had written to me, and I thought that was quite a lot more than Hinge. Like almost no one writes to me there or like tries to match with me. And I was like, well, there's something about Match, like there must be something different. And so I go there, and I was finally like fine. I had like one like I wasn't even drunk. I don't really drink that much anymore. And I had like one very like lonely, desperate night where it was like a weekend night, and I was like, Michelle, you can't deny love just because you don't want to pay for it. Just pay for it. Try to see what's going on. So they have these stupid structures where it's like, if you pay for 1 month of you're able to talk with people and see who liked you. It's like $44. But if you pay for 6 months ahead of time, it's like $129. And so it's like literally like half the amount of the 1 month rate. And I was like, oh, I can't find the one probably within 1 month. So they know this. They like did the math on like what is most likely going to get you. So, and they don't offer refunds. It's like they don't offer that for like subscriptions. So it's like, oh, I'm really committed to like this $129.99 thing, because I'm trying to do a good thing for myself. I'm trying to make it easier for myself to find compatible people, and I'm trying to do it in a way that like doesn't money suck like the other old-fashioned way that I'm not good at. But I'm good at this. I just know I'm good at this because I've done this in the past. So I'm like, okay, I know I can at least get some matches. I just gotta be able to talk with them, and that's like hidden behind a paywall. So fine, I'll freaking pay you and I'll see what happens. So what I did was I looked through all of the 100 people, and the majority of them were actually fake profiles. And I was like, huh, that's how they get you. And the reason why I know that they're fake profiles is because when I talk with them, it's real weird. It's like they don't even, it's not like they're just different people who are from a different country that don't speak English as a first language. It's like AI fake profiles, and they just speak really weird. And so then I went down this whole rabbit hole of like, how do you know that it's a fake profile? And like, is there a way, like a fake profile test? Like I heard that if you like speak in another language to them, they like don't know what to do. I didn't try that, but like I just learned that if they weren't verified, like with like the facial scanning thing didn't verify that what their pictures that they uploaded matched their facial scanning thing that you can opt into when you have an online dating thing, then they were more likely to be a fake profile. There was so many of the fake profiles in my 100 people, and I was like, I'm not paying to talk to fake people. That's stupid. Like, and then the people that like were clearly real were just, no, I'm sorry, I just can't. And like, not even to be mean, just like, in what world did they think that this was a possibility? And then their openers were like, hey. So I can't work with that. So I was like, I need to get my money back. And luckily I paid with Apple Pay, because I like searched the internet again. I'm like, how can the internet save me from my problems that I just created for myself? Because this is where I am at this moment in time. So I'm trying to get my $129.99 back, and I looked up, I think it was like a Reddit post that was like, oh, sometimes they have like a 3-day money back guarantee, even though they say like everywhere, no returns, no money back. And so I'm sure that people don't even try, but I tried, because I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm not spending $130 on fake people. Like, I can do that all by myself for free. And so I had paid with Apple Pay, and Apple like subscriptions have this thing where like you can file a claim to have your subscription like returned to you. There's like a process. It's like in your subscriptions in your Apple thing. And so that, like, it went through the process, and I submitted a claim, and then they make a decision like 24 hours later, and then you click the claim status, and then you see if you're going to be refunded or not. There is another way to go through like the 3-day money back guarantee thing that, like, I feel like that Reddit post was like 3 or 4 years old, and that might not even be the case anymore. They might not have it, but you can contact Match.com through their website and like create a ticket, but nobody got back to me. So I created a ticket with Match.com themselves because I went by the idea that it was within the 3 days that I'd bought the subscription, but I didn't think that they would actually do anything, and then they would get back to me after the 3 days had gone by. So I just went through Apple subscriptions thing and their process, and that happened super quick. It was great, and I got my money back. So I learned that it's very platform dependent, and it's very environmental dependent and geography dependent. I wouldn't have to do all these things if I lived in a bigger city, and that just everybody was probably already on Hinge, right? Or just wherever that you want a long-term relationship. There'd be more people who could afford to go on dates that didn't work out. See, it's like a time suck and a money suck. So like, if you are not doing well financially because you live in a place that doesn't allow for that to happen, it's a time suck as well. And so time is money. And so most people want to lower their chances of dating to be a hindrance because they see it as an additive. They don't see it as like a #1 priority. It's like an extra thing that you do after you're already like taking care of your other things that are actually your main priorities. Whether or not that's correct, that's what people do. So here, the hack is you go on Tinder where it's free in order to talk with people. And Tinder had actually changed their software or whatever so that you can see ahead of time who actually likes you, which is a really big difference when it used to only be you had to gauge whether or not you liked them, and then if you matched with them after you said yes, then you'd know that it was a match on purpose. Like now I see that these people have matched with me, and that changes everything because sometimes I see that people that I thought were like out of my league had already matched with me, like tried to match with me. It says that they like you. And I was like, oh, great. Like, this is great. So it eases my comfort of, am I attractive to this person? And I try, and it's easier to just make matches. It's not easier to go on dates, but it's just easier to get a conglomerate of people that you can try things with. And you just need that. You need the numbers in order to whittle it down. But I couldn't even get the numbers. It was like this big thing. And I had never really experienced that before, because even in my stupid little state, like even in the very rural places, I was still getting matches. And so I'd never dealt with not being able to get a match. And it was just because there's nobody in my age range. There was nobody on Hinge. There was nobody on Match.com that was not a fake profile that was within my like mileage limit. And then once I tried the biggest platform that was for free, a lot of things changed, and that's where people are. And once I found that, I was like, okay, good. So I've only had Tinder for like a little bit, maybe like a week or so, and I have several people that I'm interested in, and I don't know where that's gonna go, but I'm hoping that I can just get better at the in-person thing. So tomorrow I actually have a date to go to a farmer's market, but I honestly don't really want to go on that date because after talking with the person, this is how my things go. I have a good time with them and we talk, and then we move to texting, and then we probably have like a phone conversation. I feel like it's real intense to like have like a FaceTime, but sometimes that's, you know, you just need to do that. But phone calls are usually good enough for me to understand is this person really compatible with what I want? Because they talk for a long time. They can kind of like hide it for like an hour or two, but after a little while, like the things like start to like show up of like, I don't know if I'd actually like this person. So I had a 4-hour conversation with this person the other day, and it was so long. I hadn't talked like that for so long that my like voice hurt. And at the end of it, and I was just so drained the next day, but I was like, oh, he told me something, and like I was like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. This is not a big deal, but it's like a big deal, and I don't know how to tell him it's a big deal. And I like, if I did tell him, I would be looking like a real not great person. So I'm learning what to do. Is it kinder? Is it more kind to just cancel the date? Should I go on this date knowing I'm not into him and go for like date's sake and like getting better at like meeting strangers? I've already had that time in my life where I met strangers, but it was to hook up. I've never met strangers in this way where like you don't have that notion behind you, where your intentions are clear to both people that you're looking for love. I've never had like a random person date like that, besides my like date that didn't work out that I told you guys about. Like that was like my last time, and that was like 2 or 3 years ago. So like, do I waste his time? Do I waste my time? I kind of want to go to the farmer's market, but I don't really want to go with him because I know it's like, you know, it's like such a big thing. But like he told me a deal breaker, and if I kind of like said anything about it, then it would make me look like a bad person. And I'm okay with looking like a bad person, but I don't want to make him feel bad. And so it's like, do I just go on this date and hope he doesn't like me? Like, these are my real thoughts. Do I just go on this date so that I hope that he doesn't like me, and then he can let me down gently? Because he's already told me that he's perfectly fine doing that with people. He goes on dates, and then he told me he kind of like goes on like mini dates. He like invites them to like a something that's not that committed. Like sitting down with somebody for dinner, you're kind of committed to dinner. You can't just like walk up and like get out of that situation. You're kind of like sat there until like dinner is at least done. So he saves dinner for like, you know, the people that he likes more than just like kind of like wandering around a farmer's market. And I thought like a farmer's market was like a good kind of like first date, because, you know, if like I don't really like him, at least I can get some stuff at the farmer's market and I learn about where it is. But like, yeah. So I don't know. I feel like the possibility of me being like super into him after this like actual deal breaker, this for real one. This isn't like, oh, but if he just doesn't look like his pictures. I can deal with people that don't look like their pictures. I had like, you know, a little mini relationship with somebody who like didn't look like their pictures by like 10 years. I can deal with that. This thing that he told me was like a real big thing that I just don't know if I can get past, like, at all. And had this been disclosed before, I wouldn't have matched with him. So it's like, I am a blunt person, and I'm not afraid to like tell people like this isn't really gonna work out, because my last phone conversation was like that. We had a phone conversation about why he wanted to date me and why I didn't want to date him. I was trying to like be like, well, your idea about how compatible we are is wrong. So like, I'm not scared of like having that conversation when I think it's very clear, but I am scared of like hurting people's feelings on things that they just can't change. And everything is fine besides this one thing, and I'm just like, can I just get past it? I don't know. And I don't think so, but is it fair to like use this person to like just go have like a good Farmer's Day market thing, or to like get better at this? Like, I don't know either. Like, time is so precious, and I don't know. It's complicated, but that's where I am with things. So like, I'm learning a few hacks about how to get past the hurdles that I was experiencing, but it's still kind of like hurdly. It's still like, I've dated before, but not like this. I've dated, like, I felt like I was like a good person to date, but maybe I just don't know how to like date other people that want to date for love. Maybe I think I do though, but it doesn't seem to be like, it seems to be kind of strange here. It's like people keep telling me that that they haven't had like a very good connecting conversation, and like the conversations with me really indicated to them that our connection was special. And for me on my end, it's like, this happens for me every time I talk with somebody, because I've learned how to like have good conversations with people, and I kind of like force them into that, or we just don't get to the talking part. Like, it usually sorts itself out real easy. So I don't have that indicator for me, because this usually is how it goes for me. I have very nice connecting conversations that last a long time, last for hours. And so that's not a good indicator that we would be compatible. But for these guys, they keep telling me that, and I'm not taking that as like such a big compliment. What I'm taking from that is that the other people in this dating pool currently right now have sort of ruined people for me, because they don't know how to actually have good conversation. The girls or whomever they're matching with, just like are not giving that to them. And so while that is great for me, I stand out, it's just like not great for me, because they don't have the skills in order to like keep that going. They enjoy what I give them, but they don't have the skills to keep that going. And so like, I look like the person that's like exciting, well, to me they're freaking boring, because they can't uphold their end of like the great conversation. Like, it falls apart kind of sort of without me, because nobody's been their partner before really like that. They talk about a lot of surface level stuff here, and they call it veneer dating. I've heard that it was explained to me, it was like they don't really want to get into, you know, anything that's actually real or important or like interesting. It's all like, what's your favorite color, and what do you do on the weekends, and like crap like that. I don't care. And I'm sure that nobody cares, but that's like the safe things to kind of talk about. And maybe that is because people are so triggered, and you don't want to pick something that possibly triggers somebody, because like you want love. So you don't want to push everybody away. But it's like, actually might be culture here. Like, they prefer to have a veneer kind of like intro, or like a get to know you period. People have said that if you're too like open and like intriguing or whatever, it's like signs that you're like very intense. And I think like it's putting everything together that I know about this place, about where my environment is, because I think socially it's very like, have a blessed day, dear, but nobody really asks you how you are, but they like hope the best for you, and you have a blessed day. Okay. And then if I watched a video about like my environment that I'm in, like after I've moved here. I should have watched it before, but I did a lot of digging of, you know, what my environment is like from other people's perspective after I moved here, and saw that it was kind of strange to me. So I watched a video, and it kind of explained that if you like, one of the downsides of living in this area of the South is that there's not a lot of diverse food. And the reasons why there aren't is because like people get it like used to what they're used to. And even if you tried to like bring in like some really interesting cuisine or some sort of restaurant idea, that maybe they just wouldn't be open to it. And the reviews would be like, oh, that was great, but like nobody would come back, because the culture is like, I'm not going to be rude to your face, and I'm not going to tell you why it was bad. And so if you know why, then you can actually change, right? You can adapt. and while there's still time, at least in a business sense. So if you know the reasons why, you can kind of control, okay, maybe like the spiciness is too spicy, but they actually like the food. So the guy said nobody is actually going to give enough good feedback in order for you to catch up before your business folds. So they would just be like, yeah, it was great, and then they'll literally never come back. They'll tell all of their friends behind your back that it was bad, or whatever reason why they're never gonna come back. And meanwhile, nobody's gonna go there, and you're gonna have closed for business sign in your window. And I feel like that is trickling into dating culture. Like, nobody tells each other, like, oh, if you were just a better communicator during this period of time, you would actually go on better dates, right? Or like, I don't know, but it's very like surface level, and it's surface level so that nobody really gets offended, but then you don't get anywhere. You just think everybody's boring. You're like an amalgam of blah. And so I come in and I don't really know that culture, and I'm just like, okay, tell me interesting things. Don't ask me about my day or what I ate, because I don't care and you don't care. Let's get into something more interesting. I'm not saying like tell me your deepest, darkest secret, but like tell me like one of the things that I like to ask people, just like randomly, to see if they're going to be a good participant with what I kind of like to talk about. And it's like, what weird did you learn today? Or if you could have something in your life right now that you could have more of, what would it be? But also, what would you have less of if you could pick? And that usually like sparks a conversation where it breaks the ice of like the veneer, and then you go into like other topics just kind of naturally. It's not like, what do you do for a living? Well, you could probably just read my profile and see what I do for a living, right? Like, it's mostly in there. You don't need to know that right now. You need to know, like, if am I fun? Can I date? Do I have the skills in order to carry a conversation with you? And that is how I do it. And so when I match with these people, they're used to the veneer, and here I am coming in with my questions, and it's very like, I need to get to know them. And so I ask questions that are like that. But usually when it comes time for them to get to know me, they lack on that, and that's where I'm like, ugh, I can't really get past this. So I haven't had really a lot of dates, but I might have to like lower my standards of like people who are available and just kind of like hope that they can have a better in-person kind of conversation. So like altering my strategy on like the weeding out, maybe I need to like keep them in the parameters of I would date them a little bit longer to see if they're better in person. But maybe also a strategy could be like attack people who have been, not attack, but try to match with people who have seemed like they moved to here, so they're not so integrated into the veneer. Maybe avoid people who are like, I'm native and here's my guns and like all that stuff. So maybe that would be a strategy of how to increase my compatibility. But do you see my problems here? It's a little bit complicated, and it's like a lot to kind of like navigate, because you would just think, oh, you sign up and you get some dates. It's not like that. You sign up and you talk to robots. You sign up and then you know, nobody's on that app, and so you think that you're freaking ugly. Or you sign up and like people can't talk to you because they're not used to talking about like real fun, interesting things. So there's all these like problems just to even get to a date, and tomorrow would be like my first date, and I don't even know if I want to date this person because they've told me something that's a deal breaker. And it's like, how do I navigate this? How do I actually find somebody who is relatively normal, who is interesting, who is like good looking, kissable? This seems like a fun problem, but it's like really kind of a it's really difficult, and it makes me want to go back to like my environment that I know how to like deal with this. And that doesn't like push me forward as far as exploring the world and pushing myself out of boundaries. It's like I want to go back to what I know, that works. Even though that doesn't work for other areas of my life, I want it to work better than this. So it's kind of funny that I moved here for dating, and I find that dating is even more difficult than I ever imagined, than I'd been in any other places that I'd lived. And that's saying something. So maybe it's also because of what my intentions are this time. I'm sure if I just wanted to like go hook up, it could be relatively easy, but I don't really feel like doing that. It could end up like that because they're not long-term compatible, and so, you know, it could just by default end up like that. But I'm not purposely trying to do that when I was purposely trying to do that. So to me, there's a big distinction in strategy, and maybe I need to make a hybrid of that kind of strategy, but I don't know. It's kind of complex, and it frustrates me, but it's also like a fun frustrating, because I know that I need to like deal with this. I know I need to date, but these are the things that I am finding about dating currently right now in this type of environment, in the year 2023. So I want to know if you are also doing this. Like, how are you finding things? Is it different? Is the dating world is different. There are people way less playful, like even in the conversation, because like I'm the same and my tactics are kind of the same, except for I'm a little bit more interesting than what I was like 2 or 3 years ago when I was like actually dating to like hook up. It's real easy to get people's like phone numbers and stuff, but to like actually have like good conversation, it's hard to turn that into something that is, you know, you should go on a date. The conversation usually falls apart because people are just not interesting. They're just so used up and tired. They like don't have any creativity anymore. Pre-pandemic, when I was like trying all these things in order to like get a bunch of hookups so I could learn how to like have sex better, it was, people were interesting. Like, and it wasn't just interesting in the state that I was from. They were interesting in the desert too. They were interesting. And I'm finding that people are just more tired, and they just don't want to put in the effort. So it's just blah. So I don't know if my expectations are too high, but I don't feel like that. I feel like I have pretty low expectations, but maybe not. I'm trying to attract other healthy people in a way that I find that would increase my compatibility, that would increase my chances of falling in love with them and then falling in love with me. And I want to do it in a way that doesn't have me sitting at a bar or sitting at this random weird place and just waiting for someone that could possibly be compatible. That's a lot of time. So this seems like the time suck saver, right? But it's also like real difficult. But I want to know what is working for you. What kind of strategies are you employing that you have very good dates where they're like connecting, and maybe you're just not finding the one. I don't know if I even believe in the one. I believe in somebody better than like what I'm getting. And maybe it just takes time, but I want to know if you're in the dating mode and you're doing this whole thing, what are, like, in person or online, or how did you find connection with people if you have my problem where you are introverted? Or like where you have my problem where you don't meet somebody because of your work or your interests. So my job is not like a good like segue into who I could possibly date, because it's not normal. So these are like kind of barriers that I have to work with. So if you are in the same kind of predicament as me, what has worked for you? And I feel like that would be interesting to know. So thank you for listening, and I appreciate you guys, and I will see you in my next video. I think I'm going to carry on with my series on how my career path has progressed in time, but I kind of wanted to take like a little bit of a break today after filming that other one and kind of telling you a little bit of an update of what I've learned. Not much has changed, but a few things have changed that I wanted to kind of talk about. And yeah, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.